This is a book review of the Marvel comic album. This is a UK album from 1970, 1971. Not exactly certain. It's 15p. That would suggest 71, since we changed decimalisation then. Also suitable for colouring and crayoning. Now, quite a few of these sort of books were coloured in crayon, but luckily this one escaped that fate. But perfectly reasonable to colour. I enjoyed colouring lots of old black and white comics, and of course in the UK we had lots of those comics. Now, what does this feature? Well, this features Thor, the Hulk and Iron Man. Well, weirdly, not in that order. So they've got the, weirdly, Captain America appears on the front. Well, actually, Cap does not appear in this. So it's a bit of a slightly odd that they included him. However, what's in it? It was a fairly thin book, you can see, but this was a, say, 1971, 70. There were probably not many UK comics at that point for Marvel. There was, because Fantastic and the Pow and Wham and Terrific, all those sort of things, were sort of finishing off around that sort of time, if not a little bit earlier. And we had Alan Class books. They would have all the black and white stories. And of course, American editions did turn up here and there. Not actually in my town. So it was one of those things that this sort of thing coming around would have been a great like Christmas present. You suddenly find, oh, these stories, never seen them before probably. At the time, I'm quite certain I hadn't. And yeah, I'm just going to quickly run through the stories. Now, I've actually just made a quick note of the stories. It's Hulk 118, that's the one with the Submariner stories, so that's Hulk 118, I think it was about 1969. Then you've got Tales of Suspense 96, which is probably the reason why they've got the Captain America, since even though he did not appear in the story, obviously Captain America was in the Tales of Suspense. Maybe they were intending at some point to include that story, but didn't in the end. They obviously done the cover and I don't know. And the Thor ones is 151. Thor from 151, and so you've got the first page there, and then you've got, I think the quality is quite nice. Now, I have to say, I'm not certain why they chose these stories. It would make no sense why they chose these stories, because I'm certain there were many single story issues where they could have chosen, one that was completely separate. This one actually starts with, obviously, Thor battling against the Destroyer, who is Sif, the character is Sif. And you've got, I mean, it's perfectly reasonable for, obviously, if you're going to use it for colouring, but why start a story right in the middle of it? And also, nor does it end. You've actually still got the Destroyer, all that sort of thing. It's still going. That storyline went on for quite a few issues. Obviously, Loki, etc. And of course, got Odin there. Brilliant one. Obviously, maybe that's why they chose it, because you've got this lovely, lots of brilliant Kirby bits of work there with Odin. That would be great to colour. You could make a real mishmash of colours on that, but it's just an odd story, and likewise the same with the next one, and it's a good story. I really love this story. You've got the obviously the hammer's been taken away from the Destroyer, he can't hold on to it, and then you got he's got his powers back and all that. Sorry about any spoilers if you have never read those stories, but obviously the stories have moved on a long time ago. These were all 1960s stories. So then you've got The Deadly Victory. An unusual choice, obviously brilliant artwork by Gene Cohen, and I love that story. So now I'm not a keen fan of The Grey Gargoyle, but I did like that period of Iron Man. There was some really great Jasper Sitwell and all those sort of great stories. But you've got, it's being turned into stone at that point. But again, the story's just caught just at the start point. Obviously, the story's been going before. So why not choose a story? Again, there was lots of Iron Man stories that they could have chosen that were single stories. Made no sense. But anyway, obviously they thought the artwork was great and it was good to see. And maybe this hadn't been printed in the UK. Maybe they chose also for that, which is quite possible. And of course, you've got the Grey Gargoyle. He's just stealing something, and never thought he was a really great villain, to be honest. One of those characters that, I think they could have developed his powers a bit better. He was sort of like, maybe they could have if he turned them into stone or something, he could have used them as well. That would have made an interesting story. So you could sort of build up an army of his sort of stone lackeys for an hour, instead of just basically having them turned into stone. And I just thought that was a bit... However, good story in the end. And it ends, like I say, a very dramatic moment. Again, it makes no sense why choose a story where it literally, it's perilous end kind of thing. However, the next story, Herbie Trimpe, I'm not certain how to say his name, Stanley one, and this one's a brilliant one with another story, Submariner story. So you've got a lovely Submariner and Hulk story. And this was from the Hulk 118. That's actually quite around a period. I really loved the Hulk, and this one was a great story. I especially loved the one that was the Fantastic Four one. The couple of issues later, love that one. So, but it's again, why choose this story? Though this one, at least this one is separate. It's like a complete contained story, so you haven't got a continuation or obviously starting from previous story. So you've got Submariner there, and obviously character there, and you got the Hulk. Of course, they unfortunately haven't included the covers. Now that would have been, to me, why not include the American covers? You've just got the stories, perfectly reasonable, of course, to have the stories. And there's some really high impact stuff here. I mean, obviously you've got the Hulk undersea, and he's the master of greatest power, blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. Submariner and Hulk, they quite often battled. Of course, in the end, they went joined with the Defenders and all that sort of stuff. So, but still, no covers. Would have been nice, the bonus section at the back, just to have had some covers. That would have been really good. So, but this, I really, really love this collection. And I've been collecting quite a few of these sort of books. I mean, obviously, I've got these stories. I've got these in Epic. I've got these in a number of other forms. But I'm just collecting together all these sort of odd sort of Marvel comic albums, Marvel books that of the 1960s, 67, 68, whatever, the fantastic ones, and so on. And the Mighty World of Marvel, of course, 1973. And there's lots of other ones, obviously, the Alan Clark series, L. Miller, and all those sort of ones, always pretty good as well. So this is a lovely little collection to check out, even though, like I say, the story is a bit odd in the sense it just would have been nice to have had finished stories. So that's it, Marvel comic album, nice little collection, obviously all the way back from the 1970s, 60s, not certain exactly. So